Happy Meringue Day! I know Meringue Day is not really a thing, but I have so many desserts coming up next week that need meringue that I'm going to make it all day today. I always make a Bûche de Noël for Christmas. It's one of my very favorite traditions. It's a cake that looks extremely complicated and challenging, but really when you break it down, it's pretty easy. Fat and grease residue can actually stick with a plastic bowl over time, so that's why I always use a metal or a glass bowl when I'm trying to make meringue. It's also really important to use room temperature eggs. You need the warm egg for a consistent, stiff peak. If you forgot to take your eggs out of the fridge, just put them in warm water for at least 15 minutes until they're room temperature. Meringue is one of the easiest desserts to make, but it really has that wow factor. I'm going to be using 3 eggs for this meringue recipe. The yolk is the fatty part of the egg, so any little bit of yolk in there is going to be too much fat to get those stiff peaks. I pre-measured my 3/4 cup of sugar so that I can add it really slowly as I beat my meringue. That'll help ensure that it dissolves. I also have 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is not an essential part to your meringue, but it will help stabilize it and make it a little easier. And I have about a 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. I also like to use vanilla extract and sometimes a mix, but my almond extract is clear and I want these meringue to stay white. I have my little fishy here so I can do a pinch of salt. Let's get started. We're just gonna start on a medium speed. I want my eggs to get a little frothy before I start adding the rest of my ingredients. As my eggs start to froth up, I'm gonna go ahead and add my pinch of salt. And my almond extract, and my cream of tartar. It's nice and frothy, so we can start adding the sugar. Just a little bit at a time. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I'll add a little bit of sugar and then count in my head to about 30 before I know I can add any more sugar. It takes a long time to beat meringue, so if you're like me and like to bake with a little cocktail, this is a good time to have one. This is what is referred to as the soft plop stage. The meringue is starting to set up, but it isn't even close to stiff yet. It just plops back into the mixture. This isn't quite stiff enough, but you can see that they're starting to form. You can see those stiff peaks and the meringue is nice and glossy. It's ready. The test for making sure your meringue is done is being willing to hold the bowl over your head. Should we try it? Stiff peaks. I have a pan lined with parchment paper, and I have my wonderful meringue in this piping bag with a large round tip. And I'm ready to pipe my meringue. I'm going to start with my mushroom caps and just make some large domes. I don't need to worry about it being perfect yet. I'll show you a little trick to smooth it out when we're done. This is really so easy. For every mushroom cap you have, you also need a mushroom stem. For the mushroom stem, I want to just pipe a skinnier and kind of pull it up as I go, just like that. To fix your caps and make them perfectly smooth, you just take a wet finger, kind of smooth it out. It's gonna be perfect. You'll find that you need to keep rinsing your finger off so that it doesn't get too sticky while smoothing down your mushroom caps. I'm ready to put my meringue in my oven that's already preheated to 215 degrees. We're going to bake for anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes. Depends a lot on the humidity, where you live, your oven. You want to keep a careful eye on it, but it's going to take at least 60 minutes. You'll know they're done when you can lift them off the parchment paper. They come off easily and they have a hollow feel to them. When they're done, you're just going to crack your oven door open a little bit and let them sit in the oven until it's completely cool. That's going to dry them all the way out and make them perfect. Now you have your cute little mushroom cap and a little stem. This is going to end up attaching just like this. I'm just using a knife to create a little hole for my stem to sit in. I'm going to coat the end in a little melted chocolate and just stick it right into the cap of my mushroom. My final step is to sprinkle it with a little cocoa powder. It's the perfect champignon. Watch my tutorial on making your very own Bûche de Noël to see how to use these mushrooms perfectly. Like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more ways you can DIY everything better.